But do you know what struck me, apart from Nancy's vibrant self-pity, which she had the nerve to pretend was grief? What struck me about those two girls, your mother and your aunt, was that they my life is spent wobbling between tenses, completely American. Their father's connection with the Highlands was, let's face it, entirely liquid, and after your grandmother sacked him, he was hardly ever around. He spent the war with those dimwits the Windsors in Nassau, Monte Carlo after the war, and finally foundered in the Bar of Whites. Of the tribe who were blind drunk every day of their lives from lunch until bedtime, he was by far the most charming, but frustrating, I think, as a father. At that level of drunkenness, one's essentially trying to embrace a drowning man. The odd eruption of sentimentality for the 20 minutes the drink took him that way was no substitute for the steady flow of self-sacrificing kindness that has always inspired my own efforts as a father, with what I admit have been mixed results. As I'm sure you know, Amanda hasn't spoken to me for the last 15 years. I blame her psychoanalyst, filling her never-very-brilliant head with Freudian ideas about her doting papa. Nicholas's rotund style of delivery was fading into an increasingly urgent whisper, and the knuckles of his blue-veined hands were white from the effort of holding himself upright. "Well, my dear, we'll have another little chat after the ceremony. It's been marvellous finding you on such good form. My condolences and all that, although if ever there was a merciful release, it was in the case of your poor mother. I've become something of a Florence Nightingale in my old age, but even the lady with the lamp had to beat a retreat in the face of that terrifying ruin. It's bound to act as a brake on the rush to get me canonized, but I prefer to pay visits to people who can still enjoy a bitty remark and a glass of champagne." He seemed about to leave, but then turned back. "Try not to be bitter about the money. One or two friends of mine who've made a mess of that side of things have ended up dying in national health wards, and I must say I've been very impressed by the humanity of the mostly foreign staff. Mind you, what is there to do with money except spend it when you've got it, or be bitter about it when you haven't? It's a very limited commodity in which people invest the most extraordinary emotions. What I suppose I really mean is do be bitter about the money. It's one of the few things it can do, siphon off some bitterness. Do-gooders have sometimes complained that I have too many bêtes noires, but I need my bête noire to get the noir out of me and into the bête. Besides, that side of your family has had a good run. What is it now? 6 generations, with every single descendant, not just the eldest son, essentially idle? They may have taken on the camouflage of work, especially in America, where everyone has to have an office, if only to swivel about with their shoes on the desk for half an hour before lunch. But there's been no necessity. It must be rather thrilling, although I can't speak from experience, for you and your children, after this long exemption from competition, to get stuck in. God knows what I would have made of my life if I hadn't divided my time between town and country, between home and abroad, between wives and mistresses. I have divided time, and now doth time divide me, what? I must take a closer look at these religious fanatics your mother surrounded herself with." Nicholas hobbled off, with no pretence that he expected any response other than silent fascination. When Patrick looked back on the way that illness and dying had torn apart Eleanor's flimsy shamanic fantasies, Nicholas's religious fanatics seemed to him more like credulous draft dodgers. At the end of her life, Eleanor had been thrown into a merciless crash course in self-knowledge, with only a power animal in one hand and a rattle in the other. She'd been left with the steepest practice of all: no speech, no movement, no sex, no drugs, no travel, no spending, hardly any food. Just alone in silent contemplation of her thoughts, if contemplation was the word. Perhaps she felt that her thoughts were contemplating her, like hungry predators. "Were you thinking about her?" said a soft Irish voice. Annette rested a healing hand on Patrick's forearm and tilted her understanding head to one side. "I was thinking that a life is just the history of what we give our attention to," said Patrick. "The rest is packaging." "Oh, I think that's too stark," said Annette. "Maya Angelou says..."